You know, I hate to tell you this, but I thought Quake was just as good as Quisp. Oh, hey everybody, it's been a while, but welcome back to Moondream Press. The last few videos I've talked about have been in the Sha'Daa series. I still have a couple of more books to discuss. I'm jumping around in time a bit, but that's okay because you can read these books in any order. That's the wonderful thing about the Sha'Daa. And the book I'm talking about today is another thing that's a little unusual among the series. It is Sha'Daa Zombie Park. Now, all of the previous books in the Sha'Daa series have been short story anthologies. And this was something a little different. This is a novella anthology, which basically contains 3 novellas by Eric S. Brown, Gustavo Bondoni, and Jason Cordova. No, I did not write a novella or a novelette for this. But what I did write was the introduction, 2 interludes between the first and second chapter and the second and third chapter, and then wrapped it up with an epilogue. So I wrote about between 7,000 and 8,000 words for this. But the 3 novellas are by these 3 wonderful authors, and I gave them, all the rope they needed, not to hang themselves, but to write really detailed stories. Something that didn't quite happen in all the other anthologies. We had wonderful stories written, but when I only gave the authors 5,000 to 8,000 words, they had to keep them really, really tight. So I decided to give a little leg room and elbow room for these authors to have some fun. Another interesting thing about this is all of these stories take place in New York City or Manhattan's Central Park. And the wonderful thing is, well, I don't want to spoil it. You kind of discover what happens in the introduction, the prologue, and what happens at the beginning of each of the chapters. They seem to take place at the same time, and they all seem to take place in Central Park, or do they? Or do they take place in the same Central Park? That's part of the mystery of this. It's much tighter than some of the previous anthologies because it's all one location as opposed to a whole bunch of stories taking place all over the earth. Let's just read the little description on the back of it, shall we? Those horrors who hate humanity are massing in their millions, filled with the lust for blood and flesh. Arcane beings like the salesman fight on humanity's behalf. But are their desperate actions a futile effort? Ground zero for this blood-curdling attack is none other than New York City's Central Park, a battlefield resurrecting all that ever lived and died in planet Earth's history. Sha'Daa Zombie Park offers up 3 terrifying novellas of an apocalyptic future. And you know what? This zombie book has a prologue, and it's not that long. I think I'll read it to you. Maybe I can hook a few of you into buying this right away. The Watcher by Michael H. Hanson. All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream. Edgar Allan Poe. An ageless cosmic being of unimaginable powers hovered unnoticed in the darkness a full 3 miles above Manhattan's Central Park. He made for a rather macabre apparition, a tall, slender man wearing a black fedora hat and shrouded in a long, dark trench coat whose ends rippled and flowed with the winds. It was midnight, 24 hours before the beginning of the summer solstice. He had waited 10,000 years for this most improbable of events, the mother of all apocalypses, which had occurred across the breadth and span of time once every 10 millennium. The reasons for his own involvement in this hideous yet majestic set of circumstances were lost in antiquity, but his purpose remained true, and his mission unwavering and uncompromised. Why this particular locale had drawn his attention was a mystery even to him. Portals to various hell dimensions, numbering in the hundreds, were slowly beginning to come to life all over the planet. If even just one of them fully opened, it spelled certain doom for all humanity, perhaps even all life larger than bacteria. Barely perceptible waves of gravitic distortion began emanating upward from the park. His eyes, 2 dark pools of blackness from which no light escaped, opened wide as he began to understand the abomination that was growing beneath him. There was a hell portal here, one deep underground, and the very nature of the arcane energies about to begin emitting from it would not only unearth a host of horrors upon the city, but would radically alter the underlying fundamental nature of reality itself in a 6-mile circumference. Battling this particular breach in the quantum walls that surrounded Earth was going to require far more effort, resources, and human lives than he had ever imagined. But the fate of the human race was at stake, and ever the ultimate pragmatist, he steeled himself to face a sheer hurricane of death and suffering that could no longer be put off. Wish as he might, he could not directly interfere in the terrible events about to occur. His was a curse of mighty restraint, though he had long ago discovered a small but precious defect in the deific decree that nearly crippled his cause. He now looked down upon the earth, with all the creative focus of a chess grandmaster or a 9-dan professional Go player. His mouth stretched into a wide, bitter grin, momentarily exposing a single bright, shiny gold tooth, his left lateral incisor, set amidst an otherwise perfect set of glistening white enamel. 12 hours passed, and noon struck New York City. A gargantuan explosion of pale jade light flashed through the heavens to smite the earth like a forbidden whisper. The Sha'Daa began. Sha'Daa Zombie Park, available in trade paperback, on Audible, as an ebook and Kindle. I think you'll like it, especially if you like zombies. Thank you.